When burglars broke into the church at midnight, the security alarm blared. Anthony was there, doing late-night cleaning. Before police arrived, he single-handedly neutralized all 3 intruders. His movements were so professional that the officer asked, "Did you receive military training?" Anthony simply replied, "I used to serve in a different way. Welcome to the Human Stories." Before we begin this incredible story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today, and if you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button. Because what you're about to learn will shock you. Anthony Martinez, 54 years old, was a quiet man. He had worked as a maintenance worker at St. Michael's Church for the past 5 years. He arrived early, left late. He cleaned, handled small repairs, and never bothered anyone. But there were a few details that a careful observer might notice. The first strange detail, Anthony's work method. When cleaning the church, he seemed to follow a system. First he'd check all exits, then windows and doors, and finally clean the interior. As if he was conducting security checks. The second detail, the strange comfort people felt when talking to him. Anthony wasn't much of a talker, but his words were very effective. Especially when speaking with people going through difficult times, he seemed to truly understand their pain. The third and strangest detail, Anthony's hands. They were very strong and steady for a 54-year-old man. And sometimes, in very quiet moments, you'd see his lips moving. As if he was praying for someone. Father Johnson always wondered about Anthony. Where did this man come from, he'd asked himself. But there wasn't much information about Anthony in his file. He had just applied 5 years ago, his references were good, and he was hired. But that night, everyone including Father Johnson would learn who Anthony really was. That Tuesday night, Anthony was working late at the church. There was a big wedding the next day and he wanted everything to be perfect. It was 11:30 p.m., the church was completely empty. Just then, the alarm system at the back door started ringing. Anthony froze. This alarm only went off when doors were forced open. Someone was trying to break in. What would a normal maintenance worker do? Panic, hide, call the police. But Anthony did none of these. Instead, he very calmly put down his cleaning cloth, pulled out his phone and quietly called 911. 911, this is St. Michael's Church. We have a break-in. 3 suspects entered through the back door. No injuries yet. I can handle it in 10 minutes, but send backup. This phone conversation was very strange. He seemed accustomed to reporting such situations. And the phrase "I can handle it in 10 minutes." Would a normal church maintenance worker talk like that? Anthony hung up and moved, but his movement style had completely changed. He no longer moved like a tired 54-year-old cleaning worker, but like someone with a plan, someone experienced. There were 3 burglars, young, hasty, and frankly not very well planned. They just wanted to take valuable items. The first burglar was in the main hall, looking for golden candlesticks. The second was in the side room, checking musical instruments. The third was rummaging through something in the back storage. Anthony watched them. Silently, in the shadows, moving as if he'd been doing this job for years. And then he took action. He started with the burglar in the back storage. Before the man noticed Anthony, Anthony was already behind him. In one move, he neutralized the man. No sound, no screaming, nothing. The man was just lying on the ground, unconscious. The second burglar was in the side room. Anthony approached silently. But this time the man noticed him. "Hey. Who are you? What are you doing here?" Anthony replied in a very calm voice. "This place is my responsibility." "You shouldn't be here." "What responsibility? Aren't you just a janitor?" "Get out of here or you'll get hurt." Anthony smiled. "Son, I've seen much worse situations. You just go home." The man tried to attack him. But before he knew what happened, he found himself on the ground. Anthony's movements had been so fast, so effective that the man didn't even understand what had happened. The third burglar was in the main hall and was starting to hear what was happening. He started screaming, "Jake, Mike, where are you?" Anthony walked to the main hall. He was no longer hiding. Openly, with determined steps. "They can't hear you anymore," Anthony said. "You can either join them or leave," as if nothing happened. The third burglar looked at Anthony. There was something different about this man. He wasn't scary, but authoritative, as if he had encountered such situations many times. Who are you? He asked. I'm the maintenance worker here, Anthony said. But I once served in a different way. Just then, police sirens were heard. Anthony walked to the back door without any hurry and let the officers in. Sergeant Williams, the arriving police officer, was surprised when he saw the scene. 3 burglars on the ground, unconscious or surrendered. None of them injured, and a calm middle-aged man standing in the church. Were you the one who called? Asked Sergeant Williams. Yes. And did you neutralize these men? Yes. Sergeant Williams was a very experienced police officer. He had seen such clean, professional interventions before, but not from a civilian. Did you receive military training? Anthony paused, thought. Yes. What unit? Chaplain Corps, Army. Sergeant Williams' eyebrows raised. Are you an Army chaplain? I was. How many years? 18 years. And these? How did you learn these moves? Chaplains aren't usually combatants. A heavy expression appeared on Anthony's face. Sergeant, being a chaplain in a war zone isn't just about praying. Sometimes you have to protect people. After the burglars were taken away, Sergeant Williams stayed a bit longer. He was curious. What operations were you in? He asked. Afghanistan, Iraq, tour. 2003 to 2009. What did you experience as a chaplain that you can move like this? Anthony sat down, took a deep breath. Sergeant, being a chaplain in a war zone is very complex work. You don't just pray, you take the last words of dying soldiers. You help the wounded, and sometimes sometimes you find yourself in situations where you protect soldiers. How so? In 2007, near Kandahar, there was an attack on a small base. We had 12 soldiers, plus me. The commander was wounded, the medic was killed. I remained as both chaplain and improvised medic. During a 6-hour firefight, while treating the wounded, I was also trying to protect the base. Sergeant Williams listened. So you fought. Chaplains don't carry weapons, but with improvised weapons, medical equipment, and sometimes bare hands. You protect wounded soldiers. That's what happened that night. How many soldiers did you save? All of them. 11 soldiers. But the cost was heavy. How? Anthony showed his hands. I still have shrapnel pieces in my hands. My shoulder doesn't work fully. And PTSD. That's why I left the army. Sergeant Williams looked at Anthony with new eyes. And now you work at a church. Yes. A different kind of service. But still service. Why don't you talk about these things? People should know who you are. Anthony smiled. Sergeant, the past isn't something to brag about. Here, I'm Anthony, not Chaplain Martinez. I came here to find peace, but what you did today what I did today was instinct. The training you receive in 18 years in the army never disappears. But I'm not fighting anymore. I'm just serving people. The next morning, Father Johnson called Anthony to his office. He had heard everything Sergeant Williams told him. Anthony, said Father Johnson, why did you never mention these things? Because, Father, I didn't come here to escape my old life. I came to find a new type of service. How so? In the army, I served soldiers' souls. Here, I serve the congregation's souls. Same mission, different environment. Father Johnson thought, but people could benefit from your experience. They do. Just in a different way. Here, I'm just Anthony. Everyone can talk to me on equal terms, without anyone being afraid of me. In the following weeks, whispers about Anthony circulated among the congregation. But no one tried to see him differently, because that's what Anthony wanted. One Sunday morning, young veteran Marcus came to church. He suffered from PTSD and couldn't talk to anyone. After the service, Anthony approached him. Marcus, would you talk with me for a bit? Marcus looked suspiciously. You can't understand me. No one can understand what I've been through. Anthony quietly replied, Son, I was also in Kandahar. In 2007, maybe I can understand. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. You were there too. I was there for 18 years. Different places, but the same war. That day, Marcus relaxed for the first time, because he was talking to someone who truly understood him. Anthony Martinez was an ordinary maintenance worker at St. Michael's Church, until that night when burglars came. Then everyone understood that sometimes the most ordinary-looking people can have the most extraordinary pasts. But Anthony's real greatness was that he didn't boast about his past. He just continued to serve, first his country, now his congregation. Real heroes don't brag, they're just there when needed. Have you ever met someone like this? Someone who seemed ordinary but had an extraordinary past? Share their stories in the comments and tell us which city you're watching from. If this story touched you, subscribe and help ensure stories like this are heard. Because sometimes the strongest people are the quietest ones, until we meet in the next story. And remember, next time you see someone ordinary working at a church, mosque, synagogue, or any place of worship, maybe their story runs much deeper than you think.